They teach you that modern heart surgery was born in sterile operating rooms, under bright electric lights, guided by machines and advanced science. They tell you it was impossible before the 20th century. They tell you surgeons once stood helpless when a blade pierced the human chest. They tell you medicine simply wasn't advanced enough. But history has a habit of telling safe stories. Stories that protect reputations. Stories that protect hierarchies. Because decades before modern heart surgery was supposed to exist, a black surgeon opened a man's chest, repaired damage near his beating heart, and saved his life. Without modern anesthesia, without antibiotics, without imaging, without permission. His name was Dr. Daniel Hale Williams, and this is Black Antiquity. Daniel Hale Williams was born on January 18th, 1856, in Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, just 9 years before the end of American slavery. Freedom was approaching, but equality was not. His father, Daniel Williams Sr., was a barber, a respected trade for black men at the time, but survival was fragile. His mother, Sarah Price Williams, struggled to hold a family of 7 children together in a nation where black lives existed in the margins. The Williams family lived in a precarious balance between respectability and poverty. They owned property, they had education, but none of that guaranteed safety in pre-Civil War America. When Daniel was only 9 years old, his father died from tuberculosis. The family collapsed into poverty almost overnight. His mother, overwhelmed and grieving, made an impossible decision. She couldn't feed 7 children alone. The family was scattered like seeds in the wind. Daniel was sent to live with family friends in Annapolis, Maryland, then later Baltimore, moving from house to house, never quite belonging anywhere. He watched his siblings disappear into different lives. He learned that stability was a luxury, that childhood could end in an instant, that survival required adaptation. By age 11, he was apprenticed to a shoemaker in Baltimore, working 12-hour days, hands blistered and bleeding, stitching boots for men who wouldn't acknowledge his humanity. The leather was tough, the work was brutal, the future seemed predetermined. But something burned inside young Daniel that poverty couldn't extinguish. He taught himself to read by candlelight. He studied newspapers discarded in the street. He listened to conversations about medicine, law, and science, absorbing everything, building a knowledge base the world didn't want him to have. At 17, he made a decision that would change everything. He joined his sister in Janesville, Wisconsin, and persuaded a white barber named Charles Anderson to take him as an apprentice. Wisconsin was different. The air felt less heavy. Opportunity seemed almost possible. And it was there, in a small barbershop, that Daniel Hale Williams met the man who would change his life. Dr. Henry Palmer was a local physician with a progressive mind and an unusual willingness to see beyond skin color. He noticed the young barber who asked questions about anatomy, who wanted to understand why wounds healed or festered, who watched him treat patients with an intensity that suggested more than curiosity. In 1878, Dr. Palmer did something almost unheard of. He took Daniel as a medical apprentice. For 2 years, Daniel studied under Palmer. He observed surgeries in homes and makeshift clinics. He learned to set bones, stitch wounds, diagnose illness. He watched people die from conditions that could have been treated, if only they had access to care. He saw how medical knowledge was guarded, how training was restricted, how the profession built walls to keep people like him out. And he decided those walls were meant to be climbed. Medicine was a white profession. Hospitals were white institutions. Medical schools across America openly discriminated against black applicants. But Daniel Hale Williams possessed something that systems fear: relentless determination. In 1880, With Dr. Palmer's recommendation, he applied to Chicago Medical College, now Northwestern University Medical School. He was accepted, one of only a handful of black students in the entire institution. The classrooms were hostile. Fellow students refused to work with him in anatomy labs. Professors questioned whether he had the intellectual capacity for medicine. He was excluded from study groups, social events, and professional networks. Every day was a battle to prove he belonged. He studied alone, worked twice as hard, memorized textbooks while other students relied on tutors and connections. And in 1883, he graduated with his medical degree. Not just graduated, he excelled. Top marks, undeniable competence. A doctor in a country that barely considered him human. Graduation did not open doors. White hospitals refused him. White medical societies rejected him. White surgeons refused collaboration. Daniel faced a brutal reality. He could be qualified, but never accepted. He opened a private practice on Chicago's South Side, treating patients other doctors refused to see. The poor, the marginalized, the forgotten. His waiting room filled with people who had been turned away everywhere else, people who had given up on medicine, until they heard about the black doctor who actually cared. But there was a problem that haunted him every single day. When his patients needed hospitalization, when they needed surgery, when they needed advanced care, there was nowhere to send them. Black nurses couldn't find training. Black medical students couldn't get clinical experience. Black patients couldn't access quality hospital care. So he did something radical. He built his own system. In 1891, Dr. Daniel Hale Williams founded Provident Hospital in Chicago. It became the first black-owned hospital in America, one of the first interracial hospitals in the country, a training center for black nurses and physicians. Provident Hospital did something revolutionary. It treated patients regardless of race. It trained staff regardless of race. It proved medicine could exist without segregation. It had only 12 beds, limited equipment, modest facilities. But it had something most hospitals lacked: dignity for every patient who walked through its doors. And that terrified established medical institutions. July 9th, 1893. A man named James Cornish was stabbed in the chest during a street fight. The knife had pierced his rib cage, penetrating dangerously close to his heart. At the time, a wound to the chest was considered a death sentence. Most surgeons would not attempt treatment. Medical textbooks said it was futile. Conventional wisdom said touching the heart meant instant death. Cornish was rushed into Provident Hospital, bleeding internally, barely breathing, minutes from death. Dr. Daniel Hale Williams examined him. The wound was severe. The prognosis was grim. Every medical authority would have said to make him comfortable and wait for the inevitable. But Daniel made a decision that would rewrite medical history. He would operate. Williams assembled his team in the operating theater. No blood transfusion technology, no antibiotics, primitive anesthesia, limited sterilization methods. The room was hot. The instruments were basic. The odds were impossible. And yet, he opened Cornish's chest, layer by layer, muscle, bone, membrane. Each incision was calculated. Each movement was precise. Each second mattered. Until he reached the pericardium, the sac surrounding the heart. It was torn, bleeding. The heart was beating inches from his hands. One wrong move could kill Cornish instantly. Williams carefully sutured the tear in the pericardium, stopped the bleeding, irrigated the wound, closed the chest cavity. The entire world believed Cornish would die. He didn't. James Cornish survived, recovered, and lived for more than 20 years after the operation. It became one of the first successful procedures involving the pericardium in human history. performed by a black surgeon in a black hospital in segregated America. While the White City World's Fair celebrated technological progress just miles away, real innovation was happening in a 12-bed hospital that the medical establishment pretended didn't exist. You would expect the medical world to celebrate him. You would expect headlines, honors, recognition. Instead, the response was silence. White surgeons quietly minimized his achievement. Medical journals mentioned the surgery cautiously, sometimes without highlighting its revolutionary nature. Some claimed it wasn't truly a heart surgery because he repaired the pericardium, not the heart muscle itself. As if precision, courage, and innovation only counted when the accomplishment fit their narrative. Later, other surgeons would perform similar operations, and history would elevate them as pioneers. Hale Williams was slowly pushed into footnotes, not forgotten, removed. Providence Hospital became a beacon. Black physicians trained there. Black nurses gained professional certification. Black patients finally received dignified medical care. Women who had been denied entry to nursing programs found opportunity. Surgeons who had been rejected from residency programs found mentorship. Williams helped found the National Medical Association in 1895 because black doctors were barred from joining the American Medical Association. He was building an entirely parallel medical world, one built on inclusion, while the official medical establishment preserved exclusion. And once again, history chose which story to highlight. Williams eventually left Providence Hospital due to internal politics and resistance. Even among his own community, progress met opposition. Vision met fear. Change met tradition. He continued practicing medicine, continued teaching, continued saving lives. He became chief surgeon at Freedmen's Hospital in Washington, D.C., transforming it into a modern medical institution. But the spotlight never returned. By the early 1900s, his name was already fading from mainstream medical history. New surgical pioneers were celebrated. New textbooks were written. New heroes were chosen. And the man who opened a chest cavity when the world said it couldn't be done was rarely mentioned. Dr. Hale Williams died in 1931. He was respected among black physicians, remembered by those he trained, honored by those whose lives he saved. But national medical history largely moved forward without him. Hospitals expanded, heart surgery advanced, technology evolved, and the foundation he helped lay became invisible. No statues were erected. No medical schools bore his name. No textbooks began with his story. The erasure was complete. Modern trauma surgery, emergency thoracic procedures, interracial hospital training models, all carry fingerprints of Hale Williams. Today, surgeons perform operations once considered miracles. Patients survive injuries once considered fatal. Lives are saved every single day. Because one man refused to accept the limits placed on his intelligence, his race, and his right to innovate. They told you heart surgery had a beginning. They just didn't tell you the truth about who started it. They told you medicine progressed slowly. They just didn't tell you whose progress was erased. Because before they wrote surgical history, we were already saving lives. Before they built modern hospitals, we were already building places where healing was possible. Dr. Hale Williams, surgeon, pioneer, system builder, history maker. This is Black Antiquity, where forgotten history is remembered. Like, subscribe, and share our history, because the world will not remember us unless we remember ourselves.